Welcome back, Slayers. This video is going to cover all the lore within the new DLC, along with connections the DLC makes to other sources. It's going to be a very long video, but I try to cover everything I can think of. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Welcome to the Lore of the Ancient Gods Part 2 in Doom Eternal. The story continues where we left off in the Ancient Gods Part 1. The war against evil continued, as the Slayer resurrected the Dark Lord himself in an act of defiance against the Makers. Leaving the heavens in ruins, the Slayer must now survive the treacherous journey to Imora, the capital city of Hell, to face the Dark Lord in ritual combat. If the Slayer is victorious, any demons outside of Hell would be destroyed, and all connections to the Dark Realm would be severed. If he loses, the Dark Lord and his armies will rule all. When the Dark Lord's physical body is formed, the Slayer tries to shoot him immediately. However, this does not work out. The Dark Lord speaks out by saying this: "No blood can be spilled in this holy place. Our time will come. If you survive, I will be waiting for you at the city of Imora." Davath walks through a red portal and vanishes. The Slayer walks through his own portal and appears at the steps. His task now is to obtain a power source and light the Torch of the Kings. The giant crystal object in the background is then confirmed to be the cosmic spear mentioned in the Codex. The new lore within says this: "The World Spear is a cosmic crystal of unknown origin that pierced the planet of Argent D'Nur from pole to pole ages ago. The mysterious shard is surrounded by steps that are home to the scattered tribes of Argentine warriors who seceded during the Sentinel Civil War. Abandoned settlements remain within the wilderness, a vestige of the old villages that were culled by the corrupted armies of the north during the conflict. The path to the World Spear can be found through the old roads near these settlements, though no one has made the journey in centuries. It was written that one day a mighty warrior would return to seek out the spear and the power it holds, his passage proclaimed to all by the Torch of the Kings. You would then hear the Father speak out to you, guiding you on your journey. To gain passage to Imora, you must power the gate of Devum with the Wraith's crystal and pass through to where the Dark Lord resides. He is waiting for you." The Screechers were once human worshippers of the Raltha Vatum, an ancient hell cult, but instead of being rewarded for their devotion, they were tortured in the Citadel of Anguish for millennia. They became malformed by their frustrations of the lifelong deceit. Their blood-curdling screams of anger had fermented into something far more potent, an intoxicating power desired by all demonkind. The armored barons are grafted with the technology of Imora. Just outside the city gates, they patrol with Morning Star gauntlets cursed by the Dark Lord himself. One devastating strike obliterates both body and soul. Even the Makers fear these creations of demon and machine, for their carnage is both relentless and unquenchable. When you reach the Sentinel structure, the intern would reach out to the Slayer by saying this: "I'm detecting an energy signature from Commander Valen." Upon meeting up with Valen, he brings up the events of the past. He says to the Slayer, "My son's curse has been lifted, and I atone for my sins." He gives you the hammer and then disappears. There's a bit of lore around the hammer once you acquire it. This is what it says: "A sacred weapon wielded by Commander Valen of the Sentinel armies, powered by a massive infusion of Wraith energy, allowing a combatant to stun and extract resources from demonic foes." Even though the lore says this was wielded by Valen, it's hard to say if this is the same hammer he kept during exile or if this is a different hammer just for you. I bring this up because the handle has a different pattern. The Codex one is slightly different than the one in the cutscene, so it's a little confusing, but at least we know he is the one who gave you this hammer. So it seems like this could be a different hammer, unless they made a mistake here. When you encounter the stone imps for the first time, a bit of lore about them is revealed. Imps that lost their lives on the battlefield are cast into the volcanic pits of the burning abyss. Bathed in argent befouled basalt and slag, they emerge reborn with flesh of stone. The new hide of the stone imp is impenetrable to most known weapons. Only rapid multi-vibrations or the crushing force of a sentinel hammer can damage their rock-like exterior. In addition to their retained agility, stone imps can channel the pits of their rebirth and self-immolate in hellfire. The sentinel hammer can be used to stun enemies or destroy weaker ones. Pushing a single button will launch you into the air and slam the ground. If you combine this with the ice bomb and flame belch, you can extract multiple resources very quickly. This gives you a lot of crowd control while still maintaining a steady stream of everything you need like health, armor, and ammo. You can refill the hammer by picking up the charges which are available in some areas, but now there are other ways to refill the ammo of this new weapon. You can do it manually by shooting off weak points on some enemies, or by doing a glory kill. This gives you a few options on refilling your hammer, so it's always ready to be used when you need it. Upgrades will be available by completing the first wave of escalation encounters which are later in the game. When you reach the Torch of the Kings, lighting it signifies to all that a warrior seeks passage to the World Spear. The corrupted priests forbid the use of this beacon. If there are any remaining free tribes left in Argent D'Nur, all will see this light and know what your mission is here. The intern would speak to the Slayer to update him on his mission. We're still a day's walk away from the World Spear. The distance he would have to cover on foot would take an extremely long time, but lucky for the Slayer, a dragon-like creature appears before him. He climbs on top and rides on the back of this mythical beast. Even this creature has the mark of the Slayer. The dragon would carry the Slayer high into the sky, above the clouds and across the land, only to be dropped off in a frigid, desolate area. Your journey continues. You must find the Dark Lord and end this war. The intern would speak to the Slayer once again with this advice. It seems you're not the only one who wants this mission accomplished. If you defeat the Dark Lord, any demon outside of hell would be destroyed. This is a message we have heard so many times, but there's a very important reason as to why the symbol of the Dark Lord is shared between the Slayer and the Divinity Machine, but the truth will be revealed later. As we look into the story of the Sentinels, more information about the World Spear brings further understanding of a time long ago. The World Spear sparked life across the dormant planet of Argent D'Nur millions of years ago, arriving mysteriously from the depths of space and crashing into the planet with enough force to pierce it from pole to pole. Soon after impact, the angelic creatures who would come to be known as Wraiths emerged, beings of immense power that spread across the world as their magic bled into the land and seeded life throughout. It remains a mystery if the spear freed the Wraiths from within the planet or if they arrived on the spear itself. The power of the Wraiths gave life to the people of Argent D'Nur, who came to worship them along with the World Spear, considering it a holy relic. Power continues to flow from the spear, infusing the nearby lands with magic and mutating wildlife into powerful beasts. A live wraith has not been seen in centuries, but rumors persist that some yet remain inside the World Spear itself. A cavernous crater surrounds the enormous spire, preventing access inside to unworthy travelers. When the Slayer reaches the Nether Lake, he looks up into the vast sky. He sees the World Spear, an object of cosmic power. He would walk to the edge, waiting for a path to venture forward. The Father speaks out to say this: he is worthy. A path raises before him, and he walks across, making his way further and further into the unknown. Skulls of dead titans litter the area, but the Slayer continues forward. The path extends across the open gap past the waterfall. As he reaches the end of this area, two ghostly images of gatekeepers appear before him. They stand watch by the entrance. The Slayer is allowed to proceed inside, transporting him inside the World Spear. Once inside, the intern would contact the Slayer about the situation. This is what he says. This is unlike anything we've ever encountered. Not even Urdak gave off readings like this. The Slayer is now within a holy place, a relic of the past, a part of history that ages with time, an object of cosmic power, forever embedded into the land of Argent D'Nur. As you make your way forward, you reach an area which contains ghostly images of seraphs. The intern would reveal some shocking news about the World Spear. He says this isn't a crystal at all, it's a ship. The inside walls have images of wraiths. Large bodies are seen around the inner area. This confirms that wraiths traveled across space while remaining inside this crystal ship. The lore explains a bit more knowledge about the crystal and the gatekeepers. In time of desperate need, sentinel shamans would approach the World Spear and bear their souls to be judged. The gatekeepers, silent guardian spirits, have stood watch over the entrance to the spear since it first arrived. Those shamans deemed unworthy are swiftly cut down with divine strength. Those judged as worthy would return to their tribes bearing shards of the spear itself, a piece of the ancient spire brimming with power. These crystals can be used to power advanced technology, providing a limitless energy source. It was said that the Father himself used these shards to power the Gate of Devum. The ceiling in this place seems to have images of eyes looking down. Perhaps it's connected to the structure at the waterfall. According to the unlockable icons, this one here is called the World Spear Eye. This could be the name for either the structure at the waterfall or the eye at the doorway. As the Slayer reaches out to grab a hold of the crystal, the intern contacts him again with this message. I have the location, the Gate of Devum, locked in. A portal opens before you and you continue your journey. The portal transports you to Earth. The story is explained in this way. Hell's invasion of Earth has failed, and the Ark has led human resistance in the fight to reclaim the planet. The Slayer must locate the Gate of Devum, an ancient artifact of the Father's design, within the ruins of an overgrown city. Once activated, the path to Amora will be opened. We then get another message from the intern as we exit the portal. This is what he says. You have the key to the Gate of Devum. I will mark its location. This is the only way into the most ancient part of Hell. The Dark Lord will be there waiting for you. The Codex entry for Reclaimed Earth has more backstory to what happened. Hell's recent invasion of Earth was stopped by the Slayer, the blood ritual of conquest undone by the death of the Hell priests and the defeat of the Icon of Sin. Cities remain largely empty, with survivors of the war having moved to safe zones and underground bunkers. Emboldened by the Slayer's triumph over the forces of evil, the battle to reclaim Earth is nearly complete as soldiers and citizens serve equally to take back their homes. The Ark has led resistance efforts in coordinated assaults to purge the remaining demons from Earth, striking back with relentless force after Hell's failed invasion. The story of Earth contains a codex about the savior of mankind. The people of Earth have come to view the Doomslayer as a savior, a hero who fought to free their world from the clutches of Hell itself. The legend of the Slayer has been spread among survivors of the war, broadcast on emergency radio frequencies, and used as a symbol of resistance against the demons. Prophets proclaim to all that the Slayer has brought his war to Hell itself. The people of Earth offer their prayers for his victory as they spread his sigil and raise his banner, inspired to fight back by his deeds. The cursed Prowler makes an appearance shortly after landing on Earth. The Codex entry says this about this new demon. A binding curse of necrotic poison drips from the claws of the cursed Prowler like venom. Known in Hell to be one of the most treacherous forms of blood magic, only few have the teachings to conjure such sorcery. Yet Prowlers from the deepest and darkest hell pits have evolved to naturally produce such power from their fingertips. One swipe curdles the blood of their victim and drains them of their essence with each heartbeat. The only way to cease the curse is to cease the caster. When the cursed Prowler curses you, a green effect is left on screen. Your life slowly drains away and your movement speed is reduced. All weapon damage is removed during this effect. The only way to remove the curse is to use a blood punch on the cursed prowler. The chain gunners we thought we saw in the early pictures are actually called riot soldiers. Here's what the Codex says about them. Like their fallen comrades in arms, the once heavy infantry for Earth's defenses have now succumbed to the darkness. Now marching under the banner of the Dark Lord, they unleash a firestorm upon humanity, sentinels, and any other thing within their warpath. Emboldened by blessed shields raided from Urdak, the riot soldiers firmly assert their dominance within combat. Their shields are stronger than the others we've seen before. It absorbs all frontal damage. Their weakness, however, is their backs. Hitting this area will be the key to getting rid of them. The Gate of Devum has some lore behind it. The Codex has some information. Built eons ago by the Father, first deity of the Makers, the Gate of Devum was used to access the hidden city of Emora deep in the heart of Hell. The Father used the gate to travel into Hell and oversee Emora, keeping personal watch over the Dark City. The portal has been inactive since the Dark Lord was cast down by the Father himself. Now dormant, it requires a tremendous energy source to reactivate. When the Father willingly gave up his throne in Urdak, and with the aid of his loyal servant, Samir Maker, he was deconstructed into the AI known as Vega. In this form, he obscured himself from the vision of the Dark Lord and maintained close watch over his creations on Earth. The Gate of Devum remains unused and hidden from all who seek to access the Dark Lord's realm. Since this Codex entry has Maker text, I'm going to translate what I can. The 4 words here are Devum, Father, All, and Power. The 6 symbols or text on the outside areas are still a mystery, because at the moment there is no direct translation for them. Now let's move on to the Codex about the story of Hell. The first Codex talks about the betrayal of the Father. Our research shows that Maker history and lore holds truths that are not consistent with passages found in the Hell Priest texts, revealing the true origins of Hell and all surrounding dimensions. This revelation would explain why Hell is the single dimension that connects to all others, and why it is the oldest in existence, the first world. In the beginning, the world of Jakad, later known as Hell, prospered under the guidance of their leader Davath. He longed to solve the riddle of immortality for his people, an ability only he possessed. His efforts met with failure, as mortal flesh could not sustain the undying spirit. Using his unrivaled power, he crafted the Maker race to find a solution, their machine minds working in unison. Davath was obsessed in his effort to eliminate death from the world of Jakad. When the Makers discovered the secret of immortality, they deemed the knowledge too dangerous to share, for in their judgment, Davath had come to be seen as an eventual threat to all life. The Makers acted in secret and worked quickly to seal Jakad away and Davath with it, while the records of Urdak were rewritten to hide the truth. Enraged, Davath became the Dark Lord, as vengeance and hatred consumed him and his world, transforming it into hell. This image also has Maker text. There's a lot of them on this one. I was able to translate all of the visible ones to make out what it says, but this one ended up being a little tricky because the artist did flip some of the text backwards, so what you're reading now is a verse from Genesis 1. Here's how it looks when you flip all the letters correctly. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. The next section is the lore about the tainted prophecy. A picture of the Khan Maker and Davath is used for this part. It says this: "It was believed by cultist members of the UAC that the creation of the Slayer was guided in secret by the Dark Lord himself. He did it to destroy the Makers and their world as punishment. His hope to exact revenge on the servant race who had betrayed him." Even without a physical form, the Dark Lord can still have a powerful influence, especially against ones susceptible to corruption. He touched the mind of the Khan Maker, leader of the Maker race, convincing her that there was a chosen one who would threaten her rule. The Khan set out to find him. Paranoid, afraid of this potential hidden threat, The Dark Lord convinced her was close. She would do anything to find and destroy the hidden beast. When you reach the Gate of Devum, you place the Wraith Crystal to power the gate. It opens a portal, and the Father speaks out to you. The Gate of Devum, the only way into the most ancient part of Hell. The Dark Lord is there waiting for you. He will not allow his city to be overtaken. Like you, he will fight to the end. The final battle has begun. Using the Gate of Devum to access the heart of Hell, the Slayer now stands before the gates of Amora, ready to face the Dark Lord. Armies now gather as the Dark Realm prepares for war, and the coming conflict will decide the fate of all. By Hell's law, if the Dark Lord is defeated in ritual combat, any demon outside his realm will be destroyed. As the Dark Lord calls out these words, Aten-me, the forces of Hell storm the battlefield. An army of hellish demons, dragons, and spaceships fill the area, ready for the final war between good and evil. This battle will decide the fate of all realms. There's a few things I want to point out here. The first thing is the foot soldiers here in red armor. They seem to resemble the armor type from Doom 2016's robotic armor sets. They were part of the DLC called Unto the Evil, and the weapon they're holding looks like the Reaper weapon from Doom 2016's DLC called Hell Followed. As the Slayer awaits by his side of the battlefield, numerous portals open behind him. Commander Valen appears near the Slayer. He is followed by Sentinel warriors, Atlan mechs, spaceships, and dragons. The war has begun. Commander Valen leads the army by saying this, "Come, brothers, let hell tremble before our might." During this cutscene, there's another thing I noticed. There's a few sentinels that are holding a firearm. It does not look like something from Doom Eternal, but it does look like the Arc Cannon from Doom 2016. So it's nice to see some elements of Doom 2016 in this game. So if we look to our left on the battlefield, we have an Atlan fighting against a Titan. He's using a giant spear and the dual cannons on its shoulders. On the middle area, we have some spaceships firing upon the fortress. And on the right side, we have a constant stream of sentinels marching forward. And sometimes they get hit by a huge fireball. The same sequence plays over and over during this part. So once you've seen it, you can move on. Before we go forward, let's check out the codex about Amora and read up on the lore at this point. Translations of ancient text name Amora as the capital city of Hell. Davath, the creator of this primal realm, came to be known as the Dark Lord after the betrayal by the race of makers he had crafted. Sealed off against his will from the other dimensions, the first world, known then as Jakad, fell into corruption and transformed over time into hell. Once a paradise at the dawn of creation, Amora now survives as a stronghold where the Dark Lord resides. Sustained now by the essence of Hell's victims, the people of Amora experience life eternal. Regular infusions of Hell energy have prevented them from transforming into the demons outside the boundaries of the city. Ancient technology defends Amora from invaders. The high walls impenetrable to those who would bring harm to the last people of the first world. The codex about the false salvation is the next topic. The Dark Lord guided the hand of the Khan Maker as she directed the creation of the divinity machine. The Father had saved an element of the Dark Lord before he betrayed him and went into hiding, for he was reluctant to destroy all parts of his Creator. This piece of the Dark Lord remained sealed within the coffins of Urdak. Knowing this, the Dark Lord guided the Khan Maker to it, and she took its discovery as a sign from a higher power. She descended from the mountains of Encramon with a shard needed to power the divinity machine they had created to save all worlds. This codex art piece also has some maker text in the center. It's another verse from the Bible. Here's what each letter spells out. The verse is broken apart with missing words. It's taken from Revelation 13:1. This is the full verse. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. When you make your way inside the fortress, a new lore codex is acquired. It's called the Seed of Doubt. the makers tested several Sentinel warriors of Argent Anur in a divinity machine, driving them mad and destroying their souls each time, but the search for the beast continued. On the eve of the Black Star during the siege of Taras Nabad, a vision took hold of the Khan's servant, Samer Maker. Thoughts of sedition had grown within the loyal chancellor, poisonous doubts that clouded his faith. The Khan Maker will lead us to ruin, the voice said, and the idea grew. The demonic trooper has a little bit of lore to it within the Codex. Imora's warrior caste defends the ancient city, keeping watch over the walls since the betrayal of their creator millennia ago. The Imperial Guard of Davoth remains an honored position amongst the citizens of Imora, wielding armor and weapons forged in the fires of hate and suffering. Their loyalty and devotion to Davoth is unwavering, having waited eons for the return of their rightful leader. The story of Hell continues with the Codex about the rise of the Slayer. It says this: Samer was blinded with newfound conviction as, unbeknownst to him, the voice of the Dark Lord controlled and compelled him to free a stranger from his prison and bring him to the divinity machine. Samuel knew without knowing that if the machine could destroy a life, it could also empower it with blinding ability. The one who would emerge from the machine would stop the reckless Khan Maker from leading his people to ruin. Convinced he was doing what must be done, Samer reversed the polarity of the machine and gave rise to the super being who would stop the Khan Maker and save them all. The last Codex entry is about the final battle. This is what it says: It came to be as ordained by Samer's vision. The Slayer became the unstoppable force of rage against all evil, but eventually he would turn on his masters and destroy the deceitful Khan once her alliance with the demons had been exposed to him. A corrupted Urdak lay in ruin, and Samer would soon be judged by the very savior he had created, just as Davoth had foreseen. The Dark Lord had forged the bearer of his vengeance through those that had betrayed him. It was the ultimate revenge. His monster would now come for him, and he would have to destroy that which gave him his retribution against the Makers. Davoth would not run, for he knew the beast would find him. They would do battle on sacred platforms where the Dark Lord's minions would lie in wait to observe the outcome. This art piece also has Maker text on both sides. I'm going to translate the one on the left side first. This is what it says: And God said, Let there be light. And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. This is a verse from the Bible. On the right side, these are the translated words from the Maker text. As you can see, it is an incomplete verse from the Bible, but here's the full version. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. There is also some Maker text running on the outer edges of the art pieces. I did cover this in a video dedicated to translating every page about the Book of Seraphs. This was when the Ancient Gods Part 1 was released in 2020. So if you want the translations for all those pages, then check out that video. When you head deeper into Imora, the intern sends you a message. He says this: You're approaching the Dark Lord's sanctum. I'm starting to lose my connection, though, Doomslayer, sir, I won't be able to... And then the signal gets cut off. It seems now you are completely on your own. Ancient gods bear witness as the Slayer and the Dark Lord enact the rite of combat before the throne room of Imora, a challenge to determine the fate of existence. When you finally meet the Dark Lord in the throne room, he speaks out to the Slayer. You bring violence and war to thwart the Dark Realm, but conflict was born in Hell. It is inevitable, a fire that fuels creation and gives purpose where there is none. Stand and fight, Slayer. Honor your true God. Fight and show me your purpose. When you damage the Dark Lord's armor enough, another cutscene plays, which reveals more backstory. The Dark Lord says this: For too long have I been imprisoned by my own creations. You will not stop my vengeance, nor the one who betrayed me." The Father then says this, "He is the first being and my creator. When he fell, I ascended." The Dark Lord responds with this, "They lied to you, Slayer. Emora and its people would have been perfect, if not for the treachery of my servants. They sealed me away, stole my power and name, and now the time has come for a reckoning. As all things were made by my hand, so shall they be unmade, starting with you." So the entire story of what the Father said of him being the creator of all life, the creator of Jakad and Davoth, it was all a lie. The reason hell is connected to every other realm and why it is the oldest in existence is because it truly was the first world ever created, and Davoth is the true creator of all things. When you finally beat the Dark Lord, the Doomslayer would remove his helmet to see his enemy face to face. The Dark Lord would ask him one final question: "Tell me, have you nothing to say to your creator before you strike him down?" The Doomslayer simply replies with "No," and shoves his Doomblade into the Dark Lord's chest, piercing that red crystal. As the Dark Lord begins to die, so too do his minions. All the demons then start to perish in flames. The earth is saved again. The war is over. But there's more to the story. Because Davoth created the Doomslayer in some way, all of his creations would also cease to exist outside of hell. This also means you, the Doomslayer, also suffer the same fate. His body is then placed within a sarcophagus and laid to rest within the Tome of Souls located at Ingmor's sanctum. And in the end, you see him along with the other archdemons. So it turns out we did not get the ending that I really wanted, which is the demonic crucible. And of course, the dark priest who is consumed by the crucible, which I think could have been Sammermaker. Now, there's still a chance that they could revisit this franchise in the future and branch off this story, but we did get a pretty unexpected ending. Davoth was the true creator of all life. The Father betrayed him. He fooled the Conmaker to create the divinity machine. Then he influenced Sammermaker to place the Doom Guy within. This is why we see this symbol on the divinity machine. It was to create Davoth's weapon of revenge. The mark seems to originate from Davoth. The last thing we see is the Corax tablet entry 7:17. "May the blood on your sword never dry, and may we never need you again." This is also the first thing you see when you started Doom 2016. It appears on the loading screen. This is what it says: "So you walk eternally through the shadow realms, standing against evil where all others falter. May your thirst for retribution never quench. May the blood on your sword never dry, and may we never need you again." I also did a video covering all of the Corax tablets, so I'm going to leave a link to that video as well. The final thing I want to bring up is why Valen's hammer was purple in the poster but blue in the cutscene. I'm not sure if it was just a promotional thing for the poster or if this part was cut from the game, but other than that, that's pretty much it. This is the end of the video. This concludes the lore within Doom Eternal. If you enjoyed this deep analysis of the lore within the Ancient Gods Part 2, leave a like on the video. And if you want to see more content similar to this, just subscribe to my channel. If you have any feedback about the video or the lore, just put it within the comments section. There's more to come, so stay tuned. If you watched this far, then leave a comment saying, "Made it to the end," and I will heart your comment in return. Thank you so much for watching. This was a very fun video to put together. This is Carlos or Acid Glow, and I will see you next time.
Consumed by the crucible, and even the Doomslayer shall in his shadow.